YouTube? What's good with y'all, man? It's your boy Justice coming at y'all with another YouTube read, another Energy Collective read. I hope you guys can hear me clearly and concisely and things like that. I hope this finds you guys at a clarifying time of your day. Remember to take what resonates and please leave the motherfucking rest behind. Hope this finds you guys at a pleasant time of your day, resonant time of your day. You already know the mottos. Appreciate your likes, comments, shares, and subscribes. Let's go and get started. Ancestors and angels of the highest white light, please bestow upon me clear and concise channel messages from my collective needs to hear today. Thank you and Ashe. So I have a general message on off top for whoever I'm tapping into, whoever this message is for. People have sought, or on a general level, or on a very big level, or on a very unjustified level. Of course, it's in the message, but people have, as you're gonna see, people have sought unjustified measures to go against you. There's something about the price of envy, the price of betrayals, the price of things like this, the price of going to a certain extent to keep certain things up, or to keep certain things at a certain rate, or to cause harm, conflict in any type of way of that nature, right? So off the jump, this is a message for a lot of you guys, have a certain energy about you that people find inner conflict with, maybe outer conflict with. But a lot of times people may tend to objectify statures or parts about you that they tend to envy or covet in a relativity to themselves, or without the relativity to themselves. So the without relativity to themselves can offer itself in an opportunity of you having a certain style about you that you get kind of bullied for, chastised for at, let's say, like school, right? A lot of you guys are very grown. A lot of you guys are older than me on this channel. But we're gonna use that for the example. It's almost the equivalent of, let's say you have a different unique style about you, how you dress, right? And people try to chastise you, kids try to tease you about it, right? There's that same quality that, the more and more you show up in that casuality, or how you casually dress, or whatever it is that you present as your style. Let's say that you keep showing up a little more confidently, a little more groundedly. And let's say that picks up a little more attention, a little more positive attraction, right? It can have somebody that can push an envious person to jump to their next envious action. A lot of you guys have dealt with certain things that have built from statures of envy, jealousy, or one-sided dynamics such as this. This is the origin for a lot of these conflicts. It does not mean that there's not arguments, two-sided equations in some of these ordeals, right? That can be the origin as well. But I'm really highlighting certain things that can be objectified about you, features, aspects about you that can be liked or disliked on a certain level, that can be attached to certain people's vendettas that they form against you, or their jealousies that they form against you. So in this message, I'm tapping into a lot of you guys that have dealt with, cruelty by people in terms of certain things that maybe was unjustified, right? Let's say like getting revenge for something that you said to somebody. Let's say that you spoke truth to somebody and somebody chose to get revenge on you, going behind your back, slandering your name, trying to ruin your reputation. This is kind of one of those examples. But really, the general message for this is a little deeper than that. A lot of you guys have gone through deeper conclusions from situations that you didn't deserve conclusions from. Situations that may have been sabotaged, situations that may have been ended, situations that may have been a direct result of somebody's disgusting behavior that may stem from jealousy. A lot of you guys have dealt with a lot of spiritual binding, spiritual control tactics, spiritual fear-mongering tactics from people like this in this way that originate from this feeling as well. There's something about a lot of you guys emanate from something that is pure, or something that is blessed. And when I say blessed, it's set apart. Usually when we say that word anointed, that's kind of what I'm associating with what I'm saying is blessed. When you're set apart in a certain way, whether that's a peaceful setting apart, whether you're in maybe an environment of climatic energy, but here you are peaceful as hell. That's a blessing, that's a gift, that's a setting apart, it's a separation. A lot of you guys have these separations, whether it's in your physical appeal, how you look, how your money looks, what you're born into, the house you have, whether you inherit something, whether you're very good at this, whether you have this uniqueness about you. these types of things can orchestrate a lot of different origins for a lot of synopsises of people's revenge stories on you, villain stories that they place you in to be. A lot of you guys can associate with being the villain in a lot of people's stories, because of these types of things that can originate from you just having a great quality about you, or you saying something directly to somebody that triggered somebody, or you being a direct reflection to somebody's embodiment of trigger. So a lot of you guys have dealt with envy for simply looking the way you look. A lot of you guys have dealt with envy for simply doing the things that you do. A lot of you guys get envy and vendettas brought against you simply for the way that you look. Simply for the way that I wasn't looking for look, I said that already. Simply for the way that you speak, simply for the way that you move and dictate yourself through this realm. A lot of people may have formed attacks against you, but there's a reason for this message, right? With the Nine of Swords energy, a lot of times this isn't often an end result for people that wished you for this energy, or have done actions against you, or performed actions, said words to you, or sent energies to you in order to have you in this energy. Nine of Swords represents somebody usually down in their own head. Usually sword energy is mental energy, so like something that's self-destructive, or something that's self-conflicting, something of that stature that is self-limiting, self-belittling. A lot of you guys have been said words to, or a lot of you guys have gone through people that have said words to you, or said things that were meant to harm and destroy your foundation and destroy your representation of how you looked at yourself, or how you looked at what you were doing, or whatever that was in association, right? And so a lot of you guys have gone through, a lot of different tribulations through people trying to cause certain cause certain limits or limitations in your psyche, in your physical reality, or in your emotionality, through certain engagements of bullying tactics, so to speak. A lot of you guys can be good at certain things and be bullied for being good at certain things, right? A lot of you guys are very smart individuals. A lot of you guys are very intellectual individuals. You could be belittled and gone at and downgraded, or bullied or chastised for those very specific reasons. That's the day and age we live in right now. And so a lot of you guys could be simply grounded in an environment that is climatic. You guys can have family members that you guys have lived with and had the same experiences with, but yet somebody else envies how it shaped you, or somebody else envies your perspective, or somebody else does not like this about you that strongly to catalyze actions or vendettas or slanders against you. These are things that form from underlying envy and jealousy. And so a lot of you guys have had to detour and move away from certain functions or situations where somebody spoke of, sent you energy in, or did something to you that was a direct reflection of these vendettas and these kind of hate crimes, so to speak, on an energetic level, right? We're not going to be dramatic, but really the general theme of this message is really going deeper into deeper than just somebody talking shit about you because they're jealousy. Deeper than somebody doing this or trying to plant seeds of doubt in somebody else's head about you because they're jealousy. I'm talking about deeper issues here. Somebody using their resources to stop something that you have going. Somebody using their resources or what they know to do in the same field that they're in with you to stop what you have going, to limit what you have going, to downplay what you have going. It can get deeper than that, right? A lot of times, a lot of people get killed. A lot of people lose their lives because of a simple game of jealousy, a game of envy, a game of back and forth, right? And so these types of back and forth competitions and things like that, a lot of you guys have gone through these type of stagnating battles or irritating, agitating battles with people simply because of a simple non-acceptance of who you are, what you do, what you believe in, or a non-acceptance of what that reflects in relativity is with another soul, or whatever that soul reflects, or what that soul believes it reflects. That can generalize itself in so many different ways. If you're following me with this read, there's a lot of different reasons and components that go into people but trying to go at your energy outside of the caliber that your energy presents itself to be in. There's a reason for that, right? A lot of you guys offer intimidation to your climates, environments, and circumstances, right? And there's an intimidation because of a comparison relativity. Whether we like it or not, as human beings, we always compare. We're always looking at something that compares it to a prior experience. We're comparing something based off of relativity because experience is the only relativity we have, right? So we're going based off of something, right? Always. So a lot of times you guys could be an outlier to a situation. And when I say an outlier, a lot of you guys can be that odd one out. You could be the least in this way. You could be the most in this way. You could be the one that does not really compare to the results of the average or the commonality, whether that's a good or a bad thing, right? But what I'm saying is a lot of you guys are outliers in situations that it may make other people feel comfortable when there's an outlier that's outside the common box, right, that everybody else is in, right? And it's not about less or better, right? Or less or more, better or worse. It's more so an outlier in a, like, let's say you're in an experiment and you have those results in the study that you have one on this side, you have one very much on this side, you have so many dots in the middle, and you have one on this side. Those are your outliers, right? The two that are all outside of the box. A lot of you guys find yourself to be in that representation in some way. And so a lot of you guys get treated a little differently because of that. A lot of you guys get accepted differently because of that, right? And so with the Ace of Pentacles, there's something about the opportunities that come through your acceptance and your powerful movement through, you know, the chastisings, the sabotage, the failures, the betrayals, the things that have set you back, literally, right? Damn. As I say that, the things that have set you back in this life, right? And so the movement forward, the conviction forward, and how you pick up those pieces and continue moving forward is what defines your character, is what defines your path. And a lot of you guys have learned that already. A lot of you guys are learning that. A lot of you guys are mastering that understanding. And so with that Ace of Pentacles energy, I'm being highlighted on that because you guys are creating the opportunities. You're creating the timelines. You know, what God is showing you through hardships that maybe you couldn't rely on that person. Maybe you needed assistance and that person didn't show up. Maybe you got betrayed by somebody that you needed at one point. Maybe you got betrayed, or maybe it was a betrayal to you that you weren't getting the support. Maybe you got sabotaged by somebody that you didn't see coming. Maybe there's an opportunity that could have set you apart that you got fucked out of, right? And let's just be honest and let it go, right? In terms of certain different things, because what I'm saying with this message is a lot of times what we're shown is with that is that we are the creator of our own, the co-creator of our own reality, the co-creator of our own destiny. A lot of times we're looking to things that are outside of us, whether that's that opportunity, that relationship, that car, that house, that opportunity, that foundation, that path, that friendship, that group of, that circle of friends to be around. You know, a lot of times we search outside of ourselves for something that is very much within us. And sometimes we don't understand what that is that's within us. Sometimes it's not about the opportunity that we got sabotaged out of. Sometimes it's not about the slander and the gossip that ruined our reputation in the eyes of others that weren't supposed to see us clearly anyway. You know, sometimes it's about you understanding and coming back to the understanding that you're the master with the paintbrush. You're the co-creative master with the paintbrush. And so a lot of you guys have gone through experiences that have helped you trust yourself more and helped you pick yourself more. Pick yourself up. Instead of, you know, a lot of you guys are very giving. A lot of you guys are very generous. My generous ones, my helpers, my healers, my empaths, right? A lot of you guys are there for others when they're not there for you. A lot of you guys have had to understand that you had to pick up the slack. A lot of you guys have had to understand that you had to pick up a little more than maybe the next person, right? And it's not about a comparison of relativity, but it's the relativity of your understanding. I'm speaking really fast, hope you're following along. Also, be ready to play back if you need to. Push that shit back 10, 20 seconds. Keep running it back if you need to. But it's about moving through those difficulties. I was on a flow. I lost it. But to bring it back to the main point that I was bringing to, because this card is reminding me of it with the Seven of Cups energy, a lot of you guys have ideas. A lot of you guys have capitalized, or were seeming to capitalize, or were nearing capitalization with certain people, ideas, timelines, associations with environments, and then something just collapsed. Something was sabotaged. Somebody fucked you over. Somebody sabotaged you. Somebody did something way out of the box towards you. A lot of you guys get done wrong in ways that I'm not going into, because I'm kind of sugarcoating it in this message. It may seem like it because it's a generalization. A lot of times it doesn't go into the depths of how unjust certain actions were to a lot of you that are reaching this video, right? But it's not about the unjust action. It's about how God is going to shape it through your testimony. How he's going to shape it through your power, your energy, your knowledge that defies logic. For maybe a commonality for somebody that goes through that situation, somebody that gets knocked down like that, somebody that, was talked about like that, somebody that was tortured like that, tormented like that even, and how you still carry through, how you still profoundly walk through, how you still orchestrated the steps that God had you to step through. That's power. That's something that is of the divine authority. That's something that is your power, your real divinity that you need to create through. That's the same energy that God is wanting you to shape and paint your own canvas with. That's the purpose where we're detoured from situations, or we're shown backstabbing experiences with people that may not have been meant to be a part of the long-term mission or the long-term plan, or maybe that season of the plan. Everything's about seasons. And so a lot of you guys have had unjust experiences where you were wondering why, right? With certain experiences, why did this happen to me? A lot of times we're questioned and we're told, or we're questioning God based on experiences that are shaping us through God, into source. And when I'm saying that, I'm saying in connectivity, in alignment. Those situations may break down your mind, it may break down your emotions, it may break down your plans for what you thought you were going to do next. And it may break it down for you to resculpt that vision, or resculpt that idea, that person, that circumstance, that environment into a new one, and however that comes to form. But it's usually going to be something that's more tailor-made for you, right? It's usually something that's going to give you hindsight to what was a prior experience. Maybe a hindsight to something you didn't see before. Maybe a hindsight to a part of yourself that was being built through an unjust experience. A part of yourself that helped you see yourself differently through an unjust experience. A part of yourself that helped you see a different rabbit hole that led you to a higher understanding of yourself through such maybe tumultuous experiences, right? So with the world energy, what I'm saying is, and this kind of goes perfectly hand in hand. A lot of you guys are going through situations or conclusions with testimonies of your story, conclusions with hardships in your life, or maybe of your past, right? A lot of you guys could be coming to certain conclusion points of healing, forgiveness, or acceptance in regards to moving past a certain hardship, a difficulty, or discovery even. I'm channeling discovery. Things like that, right, in your life. And so a lot of times the detours are usually meant for an integration process. A lot of times the detours are meant for an add-on, so to speak. And so with the world energy, that represents, closing down timelines, closing down windows, or closing down things and opening up to a world of new. Whether that's a world of new emotions, whether it's a world of new experiences, new relationships, whether it's a new environment. But that world energy can also signify a virtual world, opening up and sharing on a platform. A lot of you guys could be sharing about your injustices that you've been through, speaking up, about injustices that you've been through. A lot of you guys have gone through experiences that you were cultivated and moved to speak up. A lot of you guys are my quiet ones. A lot of you guys are not my quiet ones. But a lot of you guys in this message are usually my quiet ones that are, sculpted through these kind of experiences to kind of stand on your vocality and believing in the power of your voice a little more, believing in the power of your own actions a little more, and how it domino effects into lives of not only yourself, but of other people, right? So with the Ten of Cups energy, there's something that's very, very, very generous about. So what I'm channeling is something very generous about, you see how this animal, I'm going to say the message that I got. There's something generous with the Ten of Cups energy I was getting. There's something generous about the way that God is going to handle the misfortune that a lot of you guys have experienced, in terms of the compensation, and in terms of the meaning that it'll kind of prove to be for you, in terms of the esoteric picture for your life, right? That's what I'm channeling. With the Six of Wands energy, you see how there's like an animal walking over the other animals, right? That are all stuck they're all stuck in bondage, right? They're stuck behind those bars, literally. And so there's this animal walking above all of them as they're watching it walk above them, right? So there's something about a transitional process, that six energy. There's something about, usually with the is it Six of Swords? Yeah, I think it's Six of Swords. The Six of Swords is a transitional card, but the Six of Wands, a lot of you guys are transforming or have had to transform through unjust situations that are forming something more miraculous than you think. With the Ten of Cups coming before this card, that's what I'm getting confirmation of. Whether it's that gift on the other side, whether it's that spiritual gift that's on the other side of that hardship, that struggle that you got through. Whether that's the understanding, the level of understanding that will have you transcend any situation that comes up, like the injustices that you went through. That's a gift. That discernment, that intuitive awareness, that prerogative, that you have a certain visioning that you can see. A lot of you guys get gifts or have access gifts or certain levels of understanding or energetic reach. And I'm speaking spiritually only, because this doesn't have to be just spiritual. But a lot of you guys have experienced these things or accessed these things, heightened these things through hardships and things like that you've had to go through. And so these experiences are bringing you some sense of like a rainbow, or like the gold at the end of the rainbow, right? And that rainbow that came after the storm, right? There's something that had to brew, that kind of like that darkness that shapes, the diamond, the pressurization that shapes the gem into that diamond, right? That rock. And so a lot of you guys have gone through tumultuous experiences that may shape your different perspectives or your perspective of life a little differently, but that's okay. That is subjectively tailor-made to you, right? And something about acceptance and comfortability with moving through those uniquenesses is what kind of my last messages are, right? A lot of you guys have been through unfair experiences that God does not play about. And so there's something about compensation that whether that compensation is the path that you get sent on, like whether that compensation shows up on a 10-year level. It doesn't have to be one thing or something that's feasible to your hands, right? It could be something that came from a direct result of you having to go through that experience, right? And so that's my last one. If you need a person with me, hit up Shamika Son with a C and Shamika@gmail.com. Remember to keep tight with your spiritual team. And, a lot of you guys have power to call judgments over situations that your ancestors aren't presiding themselves, but they can't move, usually unless you command it into fruition. They can't occupy your free will or against your free will. That's just an occupation of your ancestral, that's an ancestor's thing. So I promise you, a lot of you guys have the power to call judgment, especially if you've been through these, situations. I feel called to say that at the end. But I've got a partnership with Otter Spirit in Rose Forever, New York. If you're interested in any rose bouquets, 20% off of any rose bouquets. Or any with Otter Spirit, any vibration enhancing jewelry, any bracelets, rings, necklaces, accessories, things like that. I've also got a partnership with Amazon Web Services and things for 20% off of any creator, software, programming tools, and kits like that. But 20% off will be in the descriptions below. Either way, I'm about to get started on this next read. It's your boy Justice. I'm sending my love, and Ashe. Peace out.